In last video, we discussed about the effect of Mercury in the second house of your birth chart. In this video, we are going to talk about the effects of Mars in the second house of your horoscope. So keep watching. Namaste and welcome to Pramanik Astrology channel. I'm your host Prasad Mahazani, help you raise your vibrations and become your true self with the help of Vedic Astrology. And if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. You will be getting Vedic astrological videos just like this one. And if you are not following me on Instagram, well, this is my ID. Go follow me on Instagram. If you have any question, add me on Instagram at Pramanik Astrology. I reply to almost all the DMs. And if you are looking for readings and consultations, check out the link into the description section, pramanikastrology.com. So Mars in the second house. What is Mars? The first thing which comes to my mind when I think of Mars is strength. Mars is extremely strong planet. Mars shows the strength of the person, the physical strength as well as the mental strength. Moon also signifies your mental strength, but Mars is more of a emotional strength along with the physical strength. Okay, so the strength is the core signification of the Mars. Mars is extremely self-reliant. Mars likes to be on his own. He does not like to network with people like Venus or Mercury. Mercury does it in its own way. Venus does it in her own way. But Mars does not like to network at all. He is an individualistic planet. He likes to work on his own. He is more like a soldier. So he is extremely strong and he is disciplined. Mars also rules the fire element in the element of creation. That is why the first house, the ascendant or the Aries, is ruled by Mars, which is the fire element sign. Now you know the context and the background of Mars. Now let us talk about the second house. What is second house? Second house is one of the fixed houses. Second house is also the succedent house along with 2, 5, 8 and 11. And if you observe, 2 is just next to the first house. 5th house is just next to the 4th house. 11th house is just next to the 10th house. 1, 4, 7, 10 are the Kendra houses, and 2, 5, 10, 11, the houses just next to the Kendra houses are the succedent houses. And these houses support the Kendra houses. The second house will support the first, 5th will support 4th, 8th will support 7th, 11th will support the 10th house. These are the fixed and succedent houses. The core signification, the first thing which comes to my mind when I think of the second house is money and finances. The things which you value or your wealth can be seen from the second house of your horoscope. Your speech, the words you speak and the food you eat is also signified by the second house of your horoscope. The next signification of the second house is the family and your childhood friends. The first house is your physical body, and just next to the just next to the first house is your second house, the house which is supporting your body. That is your family. When you're born, your family supports you. Family gives you nourishment. So the nourishment can also be seen from the second house, which is what? The food you eat. So the second house also signifies the intake of food. Okay, so now we know what Mars is. Now we know what the second house is. Now we have to look for the conjunction of Mars into the second house. Mars in the second house. What is the second house? Second house is all about your speech. And when a planet, a strong, passionate planet like Mars comes into the second house, now this strong Mars is coming into the second house. So what happens with this is the person with the Mars in the second house has the habit of using strong words. I don't see this as a bad. Guess what? If they are giving an inspiring speech or motivational speech, they will use such a strong word that it will have an impact on audience, and they will think of changing their minds. Impact is that huge. So the motivational speech by Mars in the second house will be very strong. Okay, and on the downside, they can use the bad words or strong words which might offend others, but we are not going to get into that. But yes, they can inspire people, they can motivate people with their strong word, because this strong passionate energy of Mars is coming into the house of your speech. The next thing, the next signification of the second house is the food you eat. And when you have the Mars, the strong hot Mars is coming into the second house, it is going to impact your food habits. Okay, this also, the person with the Mars in the second house would love to have meat. Okay, and it's a personal choice. They like to have a meat because they have this hot energy into their house of food intake. The next core signification of the second house is the house of your wealth. And Mars is strong and independent planet, and when it comes to the house of your wealth, the Mars in the second house person does not care much about the finances. Okay, so he is very careless about spending money, because he does not want to really save money or grow money or invest money. All those Mercurian traits, he does not have that. He just want to spend money because he is living on a different plane altogether. So Mars in the second house is a little bit careless about money, especially while spending money. The next core signification of the second house is very fixed in nature. Second house gives the stability to the first house. We have seen this, we have discussed this when we were talking about the succedent houses. But Mars has a different energy. Mars is a very individualistic energy. So Mars really loves to be in the first house because all the significations match with the signification of the first house. But in the second house, Mars is individualistic planet, and second house is the house of your family. And now this strong individual planet is coming into your house of family. So these guys have to be careful while dealing with the family. They have to be very calm while dealing with the family matters. So they have to be very careful if they are taking any important decision regarding the family. They have to keep their cool. They have to think logically and not abruptly. Okay, but their inclination will be towards being individualistic and towards being on their own. So they will not feel comfortable in the family. Okay, and they can use it to their benefit. They can use this to their highest good and greatest growth by going out, exploring the life and being on their own rather than depending on their family. They don't like to depend on their family. Okay, they like to be on their own and exploring the world. Welcome to the Mars. The next signification of the second house is health. Second house is all about your health. We are talking about the significance of the health in the second house throughout in this series. So the second house also signifies the health. Why it signifies health? Because it is supporting the first house, it is giving the nourishment, food, the comfortable environment. Okay, and now it has the energy of Mars. Mars loves this trait of second house. Mars gives health when it is into the second house because it is the energetic planet. Second house is the house of health. Boom, works well. Okay, but the Mars with the second house people have to be very careful about all the second house significations. They don't have to be in rush, in hurry while taking any decisions regarding the second house things, and they have to avoid taking risk with respect to the second house things. Okay, from the second house, again, Mars has special aspects. Mars aspect 4th from where it is placed, from the 7th where it is placed, and the 8th house from the house where it is placed in. So from the 2nd house, it will aspect the 5th house, the with 7th aspect will aspect the 8th house, and with the 8th aspect will aspect the 9th house. So Mars in the 2nd house will aspect with the 4th house onto the 5th house. What is the 5th house? 5th house is the house of your creativity, your cinema, and it is also the Bhavat Bhavam for the 3rd house, like the 3rd from the 3rd. So it is more like a strength. It is the ultimate 3rd house. It is the manifestation of the 3rd house, which is the Parakrama house, which is the house of your hobby, which is the house of your short distance travel, and it is also the house of your creative field, the performing arts and cinema. And when a planet like Mars is aspecting the 5th house from the 2nd house, what it shows is it is going to give energy to that house. Mars is all about energy. So it is going to give energy to all the 5th house things. Okay. But you will always see the impact of Mars on the 5th house things. So even if a person with the Mars in the 2nd house makes a cinema or produces a cinema, it will always be an action film. It won't be a romantic film. It will always be a thriller or an action film generally. Okay, because there are all other aspects, modifying things and all that stuff, but he has that instinct of action. So you will see that impact of Mars on all the 5th house significations. With the 7th house, with the 7th aspect, it is aspecting the 8th house. What is 8th house? 2nd house is supporting the 1st house. 8th house is supporting the 7th house. 7th house is the house of your spouse. And 8th house, what is 8th house? 8th house is 2nd from the 7th. So it is the family of your spouse. So it is your in-laws. And now Mars is aspecting your house of in-laws. So it is energizing your house of in-laws. Or maybe all the 8th house significations, like the 8th house is all about the hidden things. So these guys will put their energy to search something which is hidden, is what we can derive from this. Okay, but anyhow, from 2nd house, Mars is energizing the 8th house. From the 2nd house with the 8th aspect, Mars is aspecting the 9th house of your horoscope. And what is 9th house? 9th house is all about the higher belief, is about your spirituality, more of a religion, higher studies. 9th house is also the house of your gurus. Okay, and now Mars is aspecting the 9th house of your horoscope. So what it shows is you are ready to work. You are ready to put in work to change the 9th house things. What is the 9th house things? The spirituality, the religion, the higher studies. Okay, so you are ready to put hard work for the 9th house things. So yes, this was Mars in the 2nd house, as much as I could hold, grasp and share with you guys. If you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Hit that like button, subscribe if you aren't already. And sending you tons of positive energy, sending you high vibes. See you in the next videos. Love and peace.